Next chapter, I am not interested. You can listen to the next chapter. They also talk amongst themselves. So it's kind of a meeting, or is it a?
He's trying to log in.
The main host?
Good evening, gang.
Hi, Guru.
Hi, Jay. How are you?
Fine, Guru. Basma mela pramadam irukku.
ஒரு சின்ன முட்டை எப்போ வைக்கிறதா?
Good evening, Guru. Good evening. Good evening.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
நல்லா இருக்கீங்களா?
நல்லா இருக்கேன். நல்லா இருக்கேன்.
ரொம்ப நாளாச்சு சார் உங்களை
டி-ஷர்ட்லாம் போட்டு ரொம்ப சின்ன வயசா இருக்கு. நல்லா பாத்து நல்லா இருக்கு.
இன்னைக்கு சண்டே தானே.
Very nice to see you after a long time, sir.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. குரு நீங்க குரு மாதிரியே இருக்கீங்க. உண்மையாவே குரு தான்.
நீங்க ஒண்ணும் சும்மா இருங்க சார். நான்லாம் ஒரு சாதா
என்ன ஜெயக்குமார் சொல்றது ரைட்டா? டாக்டர் ரமணி எப்போ ரிமைண்ட் பண்ணிடுவார் சண்டே மார்னிங்.
அப்படியா?
ஆமா, இன்னைக்கு குருவை தரிசிப்போம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிடுவாரு.
சார் நீங்க இந்த தட்சிணாமூர்த்தி கேட்டீங்களா சார்?
அதுவா?
நீங்க கேட்கலன்னா வீடியோ பாருங்க சார், அது யூடியூப்ல.
அப்படியா? சரி சரி சரி, பாத்துறேன்.
குட் ஈவினிங்.
குட் ஈவினிங் டாக்டர் ரமணி. ரமணி வந்துட்டாரு.
Good evening, Guru.
Good evening, doctor. How are you?
Fine. Good evening, SVP sir.
100 ஆயிடுச்சு உங்களுக்கு. இப்பதான் நான் சொன்னேன், காலையில் ரமணி எப்பவுமே ரிமைண்ட் பண்ணுவாரு, இன்னைக்கு சாயந்தரம் குருவை தரிசிப்போம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிடுவாரு அப்படின்னு சொல்லி.
ரொம்ப சாதாரண ஆளு சார், நீங்க இதெல்லாம் பேசக்கூடாது. ஏதோ
அதாவது நாலேஜ் இருக்கிறவங்க குரு, சாதாரண ஆளு இந்த ஆள் நல்லா சொல்ல வேண்டியது இல்ல. நாலேஜ் உள்ளவங்க எப்பவுமே குரு தான்.
சார் என்னோட ஆசை என்னன்னா, நம்மளோட பாரம்பரியம் இவ்வளவு நல்லா இருக்கு, எல்லாருக்கும் அது வந்து புரிஞ்சுக்கிறதுக்கு தெரியல. புரிஞ்சுக்கிற மாதிரி நம்ம சொன்னா அதை அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணி அது ஒரு appreciate பண்ணுவாங்களேன்னு சொல்லி தான்.
இல்ல, ரைட், கரெக்ட்.
Basically younger generation should know more about this.
That is true.
Good evening, Jaykumar.
Good evening, Bala.
Good evening, Guruji. Good evening, KK Chuk.
Good evening, KK. How are you?
I am walking and listening to you, Guruji. That's why I put my video off.
Oh, very good. Okay, good.
Yeah. Evening walk. Yeah.
Okay. We're inside the campus.
Yes, inside the campus, Guruji.
Okay.
Good evening, Guru.
Good evening, Bala. How are you?
Fine. Thank you.
Good evening, Guru.
Good evening, Vasanti.
I'm walking. I will come back. I'm online, but I'm walking, so my video is off.
Okay. No problem. So evening walk and lecture also both put together happening.
Yeah, no, we just walk and pause. So we see by the time you start, I should be back home.
Okay.
Good evening, Balu.
Balu, good evening. Balu, mic on பண்ணல.
Good evening, doctor. Good evening.
Good evening, Balu. mic on பண்ணல நீங்க.
Good evening, வணக்கம். mic on இருக்குனா? Good evening.
அப்படியா? சரி.
Green tea பத்தி ஒரு நினைச்சிருந்தேன், பாத்தீங்களா?
அதனாலதான் இப்ப கிரீன் டீ நீ கொடுத்ததுனாலதான் கிரீன் டீ குடிச்சிட்டு இருக்கேன் இப்போ. டாக்டர் சொன்னதை கேட்கிற ஆள் நான் முதல்ல. காலையில கிரீன் டீ பத்தி எழுதியிருந்தாரு, சரி ஈவினிங் கிரீன் டீ குடிப்பேன்னு குடிச்சிட்டு இருக்கேன். பாலு எதுவும் மேகமூட்டத்துக்குள்ள இருக்கீங்க மாதிரி இருக்குது உங்களோட இது. மேகமூட்டத்துக்குள்ளதான் இருக்கீங்களா?
செட்டிங்
செட்டிங் அது மாதிரியா?
எப்படியான பண்ணிக்கலாம்.
Balu, good evening.
கொஞ்சம் அவுட் ஆஃப் இருக்கு பாலு. ஜெயக்குமார்.
Good evening, Mr. Neerav Agarwal from RI District 3110. Welcome you, sir. Welcome to you, sir.
Thank you for having me here, sir.
Good evening, Dr. Ramchandran.
Good evening, Gurumurthy.
Ramchandran, doctor, good evening.
Ramaswamy, how are you?
Fine. I'm fine.
எப்படி
Doctor,
இருக்கு
good evening,
தஞ்சாவூர்லாம்?
தஞ்சாவூர் அப்படியே அமைதியா இருக்கு. Very calm.
Today it has to be calm.
ஆமா. Today it has to be more calm.
Oh, very good, very good.
Good evening, Mr. Rajkumar.
Rajkumar is yet to come, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
Mr. Gurumurthy, I am S.K. Gupta from District 3131.
Oh, welcome, sir. Welcome to you.
Good evening,
Thank you
Guru.
so much.
Good evening, good evening, good evening.
How are you?
I am fine, sir. How are you?
Fine. Still fine.
Good. Good to see you after a long time.
Sir, good evening. I'm Jarolin from Kanyakumari, Rotary Club of Yan City, Secretary.
Welcome to you, sir. Welcome to you, sir.
Now I'm going to switch on your video. You're unmuted.
We are 21 people. Shall we
Hello.
start? You want to wait?
Good evening, SVB, RB Ramani.
Good evening, Dr. BGV. Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome.
I'm so happy to join all of you
Guru
to
is
witness the spectacle.
Have you met Gurumurthy, who is there? He's the person.
Good evening, sir.
Gurumurthy, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Good evening. Welcome, sir. Good evening, Dr. Sudha.
Good evening, Guru, and all the other friends.
Hi, Sudha.
Ajay.
Good evening.
Vasanthi, as usual, we'll start by 6:10.
Okay, Guru. Done.
As usual, we'll start by 6:10.
Yeah, I will wait. We'll start at 6:10.
Any SREG member on this panel here today? Anyone from SREG?
I think we've all joined now. Rajkumar and others, they have joined. Right
I think Bala is also there from SREG, is it?
Yes. Balasundaram is there.
I just got this message through Rajkumar on SREG group.
Oh, very nice of Rajkumar circulating it. And welcome to you all for this virtual meeting. We have been having it on alternate Sundays on heritage topics of different temples. This is a project that we are doing to like-minded people.
Oh, that's great. So I just thought, let me have a small introduction with you people here I am from Pune.
Pune, sir?
Yes.
Oh, very good.
So we are promoting environment in a big way here.
Yeah. Well, from Pune, I generally have Dr. Deglukar, who is the former principal of that Saturn college.
Oh, that's nice.
He is a very senior person. He comes regularly for these lectures usually. He is one of my gurus. In fact, he is such a learned scholar.
Oh, that's nice. I normally join sometimes with the Rotary Club of Madras, some meetings, or join some meetings with the Kuti. Other, I joined occasionally meetings with the South clubs and the good friends in the SY group from South.
Good, sir, good.
I am working on erase e-waste project.
Good.
I think it's time, Guru.
Yeah, it's time. Vasanti? Vasanti?
Yeah, Guru. I've muted everybody.
And can you?
I've done the share screen too. Just check if it's working for you. Yes. You have to unmute yourself, I guess.
Yeah, I've already done that.
Okay, okay, Guru. You're good to go.
Good evening, everybody. I welcome you all for this today's virtual meeting of our Heritage Group. Today, the topic which we are going to have the presentation is about Surya Worship and the two temples dedicated to Surya located in the east and the west of our great country. Surya is a Pratyaksha Devata. From the Vedic times, Surya is referred as a representation of all gods, or rather, it is said all the gods, be it Shiva or Vishnu, everybody is seen as Surya. Surya is a very important aspect of worship in our Sanatana Dharma. The Purusha Sukta, which is in praise of Mahavishnu, starts with Sahasra Sirusha Purushaha, Sahasraksha Sahasrabha, Sabhumin Viswato Viswa, Asya Drishtat Shankula. Surya flames that emerge out is like thousands and that's millions, countless. They are all the heads, Sahasra Sirusha Purusha. Sahasraksha, he has got eye everywhere, millions of eyes. Because of his drishti, the entire world is surviving. So everything in this world survives because of Surya. Surya worship has been an integral part of this great Sanatana Dharma from time immemorial. And there were temples which were totally dedicated to Surya for worship. When Shankara Bhagavad-pada brought in the Shanmata Stapana, he brought in, which was actually a Panchayatana worship, which was there from the Vedic times, where it is Adityam, Ambikam, Vishnu, Gananadam, Maheshwaram. So Aditya worship was a very, very important part of that. Along with that, Shankara added the worship of Subramanya also and made it as Shanmata. Kaumaram was introduced by Adi Shankara and he made it as Shanmata. So these temples for Surya were spread throughout the country, and they were very important temples that were located in the four corners of this great country. And two of these temples is what we are going to see today in our presentation. Surya worship is there from the Vedic times. When you worship Shiva, you do a lot of abhisheka to Shiva with different ingredients. Shiva is known as Abhisheka Priya. Vishnu is known as Alankara Priya. Then you do a lot of decorations for Vishnu in different forms and just worship it. And Surya worship is done as Namaskara Priya. You do n number of Namaskaras looking at Surya, and that gives you the health, the good health, the Surya Namaskara. The Surya Namaskara practice is there from the Vedic times, and everyone does the Surya Namaskara very rituously even today. He is considered as the god of good health, and he is called as the Arogya Devata. Our Arogya is based on the good health, which comes from the fit body. To maintain the fit body, you have to do the Surya Namaskaras. So Surya is the Arogya Devata, and he is being worshipped from the Vedic times as Arogya Devata. Surya Namaskaras are done in a very clearly prescribed format, and one who performs it every day gets the best of the health. So Surya Namaskara, which is done with 12 poses or asanas, combined to bring a very good health to the person who is performing the Surya Namaskaras. Surya is worshipped by 12 names corresponding to the 12 months of the year. Surya is known as Dvadasa Adityas. Surya, we call it as Dvadasa Adityas. There are 12 Adityas, and they worshipped as Mitraya Namaha, Ravaye Namaha, Suryaya Namaha, Bharave Namaha, Khaghaya Namaha, Pushne Namaha, Hiranya Garbhaya Namaha, Mariche Namaha, Adityaya Namaha, Savitre Namaha, Suryaya Namaha. So all these 12 names of the Aditya are there for our worship, and they correspond to the 12 months of the calendar year. In our country, we had 4 major temples dedicated to Surya in the 4 cardinal directions. May I request people who have joined later to kindly mute yourself? I would request all of you to mute yourself. In the east of the country, we have a very huge temple at Orissa in Kunarak, which is dedicated to Surya. Similarly, in the western region of our country, we have a beautiful temple for Surya at Mudera. I request you to kindly mute. People who have joined later, kindly mute. It is disturbing. In the north, we have a very beautiful temple. We had a very beautiful temple in Anantnag, in Kashmir, known as the Martian temple. In the south, in Tamil Nadu, we have a very beautiful temple dedicated to Surya, known as Surinar Koil. The entire village is known as Surinar Koil. Let us explore these beautiful temples dedicated to Surya in this presentation. Kunarak, the temple of sun god in the east of India. Arka means Surya, the sun god. Kona means a corner. Kunarak is the corner of the sun god. The meaning of Kunarak says that it is the corner or the place of the sun god. Puranas claim that an asura by name Arka was killed by sun god in the Agneya Disha or Agnimula. That is why this is called the Kunarak. The Arka was killed here and by Surya. So this is called as Kunarak. This is the most magnificent temple which was known as Black Pagoda by the Britishers. Although today it is destroyed and it is in the state of ruins, this is a great edifice known for its architectural beauty. In 1915, this was declared as a protected monument, and later in 1984 was declared as the World Heritage Site. Even at its present state of having lost the tall storing tower of this temple above the Garbhagriha, the temple stands majestic solitude amidst the vast stretch of land there. This is the topographical view of the great Kunarek Temple that you see here. This is a perfectly proportioned structure with endless decoration all over the body with minute pattern, and that is done with a jeweler's precision. It's amazing to see this wonderful temple. And there are plenty of arguments and disputes regarding this temple. How about this temple had come up and all that? There are opinions that if at all this temple was ever completed and rituals were conducted in this temple, or was it abandoned halfway through, even before completion. What was this left as unfinished temple for some unknown reasons? And then why this temple had collapsed? The tower of the temple had collapsed. There are many questions which have no answers till date. According to the Bhavishya Purana, Krishna's son by name Samba was cursed by Krishna to be smitten with leprosy on account of getting on the wrong side of the sage Narada. Samba prayed to Surya for 12 long years on the banks of the river Chandrabhaga to heal him of his disease. On getting cured of his illness by the sun god, he built this beautiful temple of Surya and brought the Maga worshippers from Iran to conduct the regular rituals of this temple in those days. It is what is said in the Purana. History says the Purandara Keshari had built this temple for Surya. The Purandara dynasty was overthrown by the Ganga dynasty, who overthrew the Kesharis, and the king Narasimhadeva, 1238 to 64, built this great edifice and installed the image of Surya in this. The copper plates of the Ganga claim that this is the most supreme achievement of Narasimhadeva as a builder of Mahakuti for Surya in the corner of the Trikona. In 1559 to 1968, the Muslims invaded, attacked the temple. Failing to destroy it completely, they carried away the wealth and all the treasures of this temple. And this temple was left ruined. The Sun Temple, what we see in Kunarak, is made of 3 different types of stones. They've used 3 different varieties of stones to make this wonderful temple. What you see here is the door frame of the main sanctum of the temple. This is made of a chlorite, raw chlorite sort of a stone, which is greenish in color, soft in nature, And these door lintels, it's very easy to work on minute carvings of this chlorite stone. So they've used this beautiful chlorite stone to make the door lintels, frames, and sculptures that are seen all over in this temple. This beautiful green stone is wonderful to work, which gives you the minute precision in all their executions. The second one they have used is the laterite, which is taken from the ground. The laterite blocks are used as a core for building the entire temple and also used as the platform, staircases, and foundations for this temple. The entire laterite blocks taken from the ground is being used for this construction of this temple. And the third one is what is called as Condalite. The Condalite is a very, very inferior quality of a granite and is slightly better off than the sandstone, which is used in the major part of this temple construction. The problem with this Condalite rock is that it is very fragile and it breaks very fast and it doesn't stand the weather. The corrosion happens very fast on this particular rock, which is being used for making all the decorative designs and figurines for this entire temple. Now, this is the ground plan of this great temple of Kunarak, what you see here. The first one, which is in the circle, is the original temple, which holds the Garbhagriha or the Sanctum of the Surya. On the three sides, you have extended small temples, which are also dedicated to Surya in different forms. The Dhimana, which once stood over this Garbhagriha, is said to be about 229 feet tall. And it is said that Dhimana on top of this sanctum fell somewhere around 1837. Till that time, this Dhimana was there intact on top of this great Garbhagriha. Today, the Dhimana has collapsed totally, and the Garbhagriha, inside the Garbhagriha, everything has come into a rubble form. The main image that was there under worship inside the Garbhagriha is also totally broken and taken away. The second thing under the circle, what you see is the Pita Dweller, we call that the Jagmogana, which is about 128 feet tall and still stands as the principal structure, surviving structure among the ruins of the Kunarak Temple. This is the Jagmogana or the hall from where you have the darshan of the god inside the sanctum. And the third one among the structures which is survived is the Bhogamandapa or the Ritamandapa, what you call it. Of course, the roof structure of this Bhogamandapa has also collapsed, and what remains to see is only the pillars and the basement which are survived till today. So this is the main structure of the Surya temple at Kunarak, which is an east-facing structure, and it's on the east-west axis, very beautifully aligned with all these three in a row. What you see inside the circle here is the shikara that once stood over the sanctum of the Surya temple, almost 45 meters, that's what I said, 228 feet tall. It was there once upon a time. This has totally collapsed today. There are a number of reasons which are attributed why the shikara that had existed over the sanctum fell and collapsed. This could have happened due to an earthquake in that region, or might have been struck by a lightning, or finally it could be some flaw in the foundation of this particular structure, which gave way for the entire Vimana or the complete tower to fall. There are mixed opinions about this, and some people are still saying this was never completed the temple was never completed and never concentrated, or the Kumbhabhishekam being done for this particular temple, never concentrated at all, which I don't think is correct. Because the image of Surya inside the sanctum is still there. Due to the neglect of this great temple, after when the entire tower fell down, this was reduced to an enormous mass of stones, and this became a dense forest with people trees all over. So this was neglected state of affair for a long, long time. And all the objects from this temple were stolen away. Especially the Britishers took away the most exquisite sculptures and all the beautiful things that were there in this beautiful temple. What you see here is one of the beautiful images of Surya in one of the shrines on the sides. The main sanctum of the temple is called as Dual in the Kalingan architecture, which no longer exists. It is supported by the subsidiary shrines on other sides, on the three sides, containing niches in which Surya is depicted in different forms and many aspects of Surya. Here you see the Surya riding onto a horse, a very beautiful green chlorite image of Surya, very artistically and beautifully done there, and of course, very mutilated. The dual, the entire Dhimana structure was built on a very high terrace, and the temple was the original complex consisting of main sanctuary called the Reka Duela, and that was followed by the Jagmogana, which is known as Pida Duela, and all these things were done on a raised platform, very highly raised platform, giving a majestic look to the entire temple. Look at the three images that you see on the three sides of the temple. Surya represented there on sitting on the horse. Here he is seen in the standing posture. A very, very intricately done image of Surya. And this is the third Surya that you could see there in the temple. Again, one of the lotuses that he's holding in his hand is along seeing both the arms are chopped. And this is a very interesting and a beautiful image of Surya, which is there at the worship, which was once at the worship day. Now, coming to the main entrance to the sanctum, you have a wonderfully carved door frame. What an intricately carved door frame you see here. This door frame is done with such minute carvings, which is amazing work of an art. You see different layers of frames coming up and constituting something like very similar to like Chettinad doors, which we see here. Different layers of different designs combining to form a big, thick frame. You have the intertwined Naga with sculptures, with erotic sculptures on one side, followed by the floral designs. And again, you have the creeper designs, and you have some floral designs here. Again, the creepers and the erotic sculptures, and followed by again some floral designs, like multi-level of strips of carving is seen throughout this wonderful the door frame that you see here. Look at that, very beautifully carved door frames of the great Kunarak temple. Minute and very intricate work. You can see the floral designs that are how beautifully it has been done. The Naga here, the entwined Naga, the floral designs with all those erotic sculptures, everything is there filled with this. And down below, you have the Nagas, the images of Nagas supporting the entire each and every frame of this wonderful creation. And inside that, you had the beautiful image of Surya, which is now at present in the British Museum, along with the many other images stolen from this particular temple. This is a beautiful Surya image, which is almost 10 feet tall, done with this beautiful chlorite stone, which is seen here, now displayed at the British Museum. The limbs are chopped when the Vimana fell down. Probably this image was broken, or even before that. During the Muslim invasion, it should have been mutilated, and this British should have removed this beautiful image even before the tower or the Vimana fell down. We do not know how it happened, but then this beautiful image that was once under worship inside the sanctum of the temple is now on display at the British Museum. Look at the beauty of the Surya. Look at his face, so serene, so beautiful, very intricately done jewelry designs, and all the architectural aspects of that seem so beautiful here. And this is the beautiful Surya, which was once under worship and now in the British Museum, along with many other images of what you see here of Surya, which was taken away from this beautiful temple. The entire temple is an architectural splendor. Kunarek Temple presents its iconography in a very grand scale, built like a very huge chariot driven by wheels and pulled by horses. The Shiva, I mean, when you say Surya, Surya is always said to be on travel on a chariot. That chariot of Surya is driven by Aruna, and you have the wheels, single wheel for that chariot, and it's driven by 7 horses. It's what our Puranas explain about Surya. And this temple is being built in such a way, the entire temple structure represents a huge chariot of Surya. Look at that, the wheels of the chariot. It has 24 elaborately carved wheel stones, which are nearly 12 feet in diameter. And the entire temple is pulled by 7 horses, seen everywhere in different levels. The horses are pulling the entire chariot. It's beautifully designed like that. The 24 wheels represent the 12 months, 2 wheels per month. It's beautifully representing the 2 wheels per month. Look at the wheel, so huge and very, very intricately done. The emphasis of the entire temple lies on the wheel, how they have projected it, making it as a chariot of Surya. Look at the intricate carving and the designs that they have incorporated into these wheels. It's amazing to note that such beautiful wheels are seen with spikes. The spikes help them to move in any surface. So that wheels are provided with spikes also, you can see it here. Look at that wheel. What beautiful wheel with axis and all the spokes. And every axis, the spokes of that wheel is so intricately designed with a small figure in there, with floral designs, everything. And behind that, you have the wall. The spokes are very clearly designed here. Look at that. Inside that wheel, you have so elaborately carved sculptures. There is a lady seated doing some yogasana or something, or a dance pose or whatever it is. You have the beautiful floral design, and all as if the pearls are stuck to that. It is something like a jewelry. The entire spokes of the wheel are designed like jewelry patterns. Look at that, spokes. You have different types of sculptures. In this one of these spokes, you find the erotic sculptures of Kamasutra also there. Very beautifully depicted. In this temple, you have a representation of this Kamasutra process in many places in a very, very minute manner and also in huge sizes. Look at the hub, the wheel hub, how beautifully and intricately it's been done with the pin holding on to the axle. Very, very intricately done. the hub of the wheel. And look at the face of the flatness of the wheel, how beautifully it is being designed with intricate work of animals, floral designs, and pearl-like thing all over this area. It's something unimaginable work of art. The walls of the Jagmogana in front of this main sanctum is almost 100 feet tall. And this is the only surviving structure where you have 6 pillars. And 3 pillars, the 3 tiers are there. And each tier has got 6 layers. So 18 such layers constitute this wonderful Jagmogana tower. The pillars are divided into terraces. So you have 3 different terrace levels here, 1, 2, and 3. 3 different terrace levels. And in these terrace levels, you have beautiful figures of statues of musicians playing different instruments. The main Jagmogana consists of 4 main zones: the platform, the wall, the trunk, and above all, the crowning glory of that is the Shikara, which is known as Mastaka. And the entire Jagmogana and the sanctum is pulled by horses. Because I said 7 horses are pulling. The 7 horses of the Surya represent the spectrum of light. So the spectrum of light in 7 colors is what represents the 7 horses. And these horses are seen here. Huge, majestic horses, very intricately done. Unfortunately, most of them are damaged beyond recognitions also. So, but these horses are huge, and they represent the 7 horses of the Surya's chariot, is seen here. Look at the way the horses are present there, as if the horse is pulling the entire chariot. This horse is totally mutilated. The main temple and the Jagmogana are totally different in size and decorative themes of design. Now, when you see the main sanctum, you find the main sanctum tower is so beautifully decorated with yali images and very, very intricately carved floral designs, as you see here in this picture. You have the Purushabraham. You have intricately designed floral motifs all over. The pillars are also very beautifully done in different phases. And in between, they are in different contours. And in between that small contour, you have large figurines. Here you have one of the beautiful erotic image, which is shown here. And you have similar images spread on the smaller scale also by the side. The entire pillars supporting this contours are beautifully decorated with floral motifs and fantastic, the contours and designs there. You have a Yali rider with the elephant down below, and see entire structure has fallen down beyond a height. To say about 30-40 feet high is what you can see of today. The structure above that has totally fallen down, and probably that structure, if it had existed, it should have had the most beautiful and most wonderful representations of sculptural value there. And look at the moldings of the entire base of that. As the entire Dhimana collapsed, most of the structures are broken. And today what we can see there as the structure is the broken structure of the entire Dhimana that you see here. Look at the beautiful designs of Apsaras and Yalis, very intricately done, with all the perforated screens behind them. What a beautiful work of art, all done with Condalite stones. Because of the fragile nature of these Condalite stones, most of them are broken. And on the terraces of the Pida, you have beautiful sculptures depicting the musicians, and you have a Bhairava statue also there. And if you see the Pida levels, I said 6 levels are there. Each level is beautifully carved with a beautiful design of row of elephants, bulls, horses, and so on. So beautifully, very intricately done work. If at all this temple had existed in full, this would have been one of the most marvelous structure that had been in this country. Look at the level. Each level is decorated with, here you find the horses, you find the bull, you find the horses, you find the elephants, and similarly, every level has got different designs. And in between on the terrace, you see the sculpture of a musician playing a trumpet or something like that. So every level, the 3 levels, you have these beautiful sculptures, and all the 6 levels are very intricately done and designed. Here you find the sculpture of a lady playing a drum, and look at the beautiful intricate design of different levels of the 6 levels that are shown here. And of course, you have the great Bhairava, the 3-faced Shiva dancing there also on the top. And the image of Shiva inside the temple of Surya says that Shiva is also a representation of Surya. The entire temple is an architectural wonder or a sculptural wonder, I would say. Every small aspect of this temple is beautifully designed, like what you saw here. Everywhere you have sculptures. And behind these sculptures, you have the perforations, screens which are kept. These are also done separately and placed there. And then before that, and just before that, the sculpture panels are erected. You find the beautiful erotic sculptures seen here. Look at that entwined Naga couple. And of course, some more erotic sculptures. These erotic sculptures are seen in large numbers throughout the base of this Kunarek temple and also in many other places of this temple. What a beautiful apsara. A beautiful apsara. And you have scenes from the royal life also being depicted here. You can see the king in his chamber sitting along with his queen, and the elephant and all the other generals are waiting for the king to come out of his bedroom. And look at the convoy of the king, how it goes on the horse, is waiting there. The palanquin is waiting for the queen. Everything, all that aspects are very beautifully depicted here. And by the side, you have the pillars, which are very, very intricately carved. Every small inch of this particular temple is so beautifully carved. You find the images of the elephants, hamsas, and so on. Amazing work of art. Look at the wheel. Just behind the wheel, you have all these sculptures of different forms that you can see there. You find dancers, musicians everywhere. The temple itself was decorated as a musical paradise, or rather it was designed like as if it was a total thing, was a place of enjoyment of listening to music. There's a queen seated in a throne. And now we come to the next portion of this temple, which is the Bhoga Mantapa or Nritta Mantapa. The entire tower of this is collapsed, and few of the pillars are and the basement alone are surviving. This is an amazing work of art. The base of this is something very great. The relief sculptures of the platform is similar to that of what we find out in the other surveying areas of this temple, and very, very beautifully and intricately done. Look at the pillars. Everywhere you find intricately carved sculptures. According to historical texts, there was an Arunastamba or the Vijayastamba, what you have called it, the Dvajastamba or anything what you call it, in front of this temple, and that has been taken over. And today it is said this Arunastamba is taken over from here and planted in front of the Puri Jagannath temple. And that was there in front of that. Look at the base of this wonderful Nritya Mandapa. To show that this was a Nritya Mandapa, there is no erotic sculptures or anything here. It was dedicated for dance and music. So you find all the different types of dancers and musicians playing different drums and dances seen all over. The entire base of this in 3 levels, you find the beautiful dancers and musicians playing it. And you find the beautiful animal representations like elephants, horses also on the panels, dividing these sculptures. Amazing work of art. Look at the way they have depicted the dancers and musicians. Musicians are dancing and playing the instruments. Amazing work. And you find the perforated screen right behind every sculpture. This is so beautifully done to give the 3-dimensional effect. Now, this is one of the examples of one corner of this beautiful basement where you have such intricate work. Such intricate work. Amazing work of art and sculpture. Look at that Apsara, dancer. And look at the row of Nagas at the bottom. And the entire temple is so huge and gives you a phenomenal, majestic look. And these are the 2 lions right in front of that wonderful Nritya Mandapa. You have the 2 lions leaping over the elephant's there. You have the guideways, the waterway coming out of the Sanctum, designed in beautiful way. Very unusual designs you can see here. Here you can see the fish mouth opening up of the fish mouth through which the water from the Sanctum comes out. At some places you find the crocodile, and some places you find the usual makara is also there. So this is a very, very interesting design that they've incorporated in the temple, where instead of the makara, they've introduced the fish opening its mouth for the waterway to come out. You have freestanding sculptures of huge elephants and so on, horses everywhere. Look at that freestanding elephant right in front of the temple. Amazing. It's almost the size of an elephant. And of course, you had 2 different shrines on either side of this. Probably it was dedicated to the 2 consorts of Surya Narayana, Surya, Usha Devi and Pratiksha Devi. But these are in ruins and nothing remains here in this. This is a wonderful temple dedicated to Surya. Though seen in ruins of the past, every element of this temple remains clearly to claim that this is one of the most magnificent temples of Surya that have existed. Now we come to the next temple, Mudera, the temple of Surya in the west. The Surya temple located in Mudera is in the Mehsana district of Gujarat, and it is situated on the banks of river Pushpavati. This was a temple that was built in 1026 to 1027 during the reign of Dhimana I of the Chalukya dynasty, which was ruling over the parts of Gujarat in those days. Today, this is a protected monument under the Archaeological Survey of India. The temple complex has 3 components: the Goda Mandapa and the Garbhagriha, the Sabaa Mantapa, and the Surikunda in front. Now, this is the view of the temple where you see the Sabaa Mantapa and the Surikunda in front of it. The halls of all these temples have all these structures have intricately carved exterior, and the pillars inside these mantapas are so exquisitely carved. The Surikunda, or the reservoir, has steps to reach up to the bottom. And there are numerous shrines dedicated to different gods that are seen in the Surikunda. Every small thing that you see here is a shrine dedicated to some god or other. During 1025, it said Muhammad Ghazni had invaded Dhimana's kingdom, and a force of around 20,000 soldiers had unsuccessfully tried to check the advance of the Ghazni army into Mudera, and they failed. And the Ghazni army destroyed this particular temple. The Sun Temple might have built, some say that some temple might have built to commemorate his defense. And there is an inscription which is upside down and which is carelessly written in the Devanagari script, which correspond to the Vikrama Samvat of 1083, corresponding to 1026-27 CE. Probably we assume that this was the date when this temple was mutilated by the invading Ghazni army. This temple should have been built much earlier to that, and this was destroyed during the Ghazni's invasion in 1026-27. The miniature and the niches that you see in the temple tank were built shortly later than the entire destruction had taken place after 1226. The dancing hall must have come up later during the third quarter of the 12th century, along with the gateways and ports, but even that is being damaged because of the later Islamic invasions that had taken place in the land of Gujarat. The temple complex, the entire structure is built in a particular style like what we have in Tamil Nadu, as called the Dravidian style, and the Nagara style, which existed in the north of India. This particular style of temple building in Gujarat was known as Maru Gujarat style, which was very peculiarly developed by the Chalukyas who ruled this region during 10th century. The temple complex has three axially aligned, that is the Sanctum and the Garbhagriha, along with the Guda Mantapa. The Guda Mantapa is the main Ardha Mantapa or Maha Mantapa, from where you have the darshan of the Sanctum, and or the assembly hall that you call it. And these are the two structures which are aligned together. Now, if you see the topographical sketch of this Mudera temple, you have the Garbhagriha, where the image of Surya was under worship once upon a time. Along with that and attached to that is the Mahamantapa, which is known as Guda Mantapa in their terms. This is called the Guda Mantapa in the terms of Gujarati style. And the third one, away from these two structures, is the Sabaa Mantapa or the Nritya Mantapa, or whatever you call it. It's a Nritya Mantapa. And right in front of that, all these things, you have the big Surikunda, a huge water reservoir with lot of steps leading down up to the water level. You have many, many temples all around the steps of this temple, this tank. Amazing water tank you can see. This is one of the best water tanks that you can see in any temple in this country. And everything is aligned on the east-west axis. The Garbhagriha is facing the east, and everything is in particular line. And this is the topographical sketch of this wonderful temple of Mudera. Now, coming to this, the Sabaa Mantapa is not a continuation of the Guda Mantapa, but placed little away as a separate structure. Probably this was built little later. So that's why it is almost a separate structure. And all the Sabaa Mantapa and the Guda Mantapa and the Sanctum are all on a very highly raised platform. And Both the Sabaa Mantapa and the Sanctum had a tower or the Dhimana on top of it, which the Shikara, what you call it, it does not exist as of today. Only a part or a portion of that, what was there, is remaining to be seen today. And both are raised on a very beautiful platform, and that adds the beauty to this entire structure. The Kuda Mantapa, which is measuring 51.9 feet by 25.8 feet, are divided equally as two. One is the, and this particular Mantapa, which is known the Kuda Mantapa, the first portion of it is the Ardha Mantapa, Maha Mantapa, where the devotees stand to have the darshan of the God inside. And the Sanctum is this portion of this is the Sanctum, the Garbhagraha. They both are combined as one single structure and now called as Kuda Mantapa. There are projections on the outer wall of the Kuda Mantapa, which has a lot of windows on each side. And these windows bring in light and air inside the Mahamandapa, where the devotees stay and have the worship done. And these windows were provided with perforated stone screens once upon a time. And this entire Kuda Mantapa is a very artistic creation. And this is the place, one of the side windows which had existed once upon a time. Today, the perforated windows is no more there. And instead, you have a screen or a welded mesh placed by the Archaeological Survey of India. There is a Pradakshina mark inside the sanctum. If you consider this is the sanctum of the temple, this portion is the sanctum of the temple. Inside this, you have a Pradakshina mark. And this is the Mahamantapa where you have the darshan. So it's a very beautifully designed, Kuda Mantapa there to see here. And this is the entrance from the Sabaa Mantapa as you go inside the sanctum of the Surya Temple. Look at the intricate pillars of the Sabaa Mantapa and the front porch of the sanctum. Look at the intricate pillar designs that you lead inside the sanctum. What a wonderful work of art you can see here. And inside the sanctum, you had the Surya in two different levels. This is the entrance inside the sanctum. The sanctum was designed in that way. The first rays of rising sun lit up the image of Surya during the solar equinox and the days of summer solstice. The sun shines directly above the temples during the noon, casting no shadow on this particular temple. It's amazing, beautifully and very scientifically designed, beautiful temple of Surya. This is the passage or the Pradakshina path inside the sanctum, where you go around the sanctum. It's a very, very small, narrow path, which is only about 4 feet, but enough light is brought inside through the perforated windows. The walls are plain inside compared to the artistic design that you see on the exterior. It is plain inside. The inner walls around the circumambulatory passage, ambulatory passage, have 12 images of Surya, the Dwadasa Adityas which we saw there earlier. Beautiful images of Surya are found on the niches. The 12 images of Surya, this is the niche. Each and every niche has an image of Surya. The 3 sides, the 4 images of Surya on each side, the 12 Dwadasa Adityas are represented here in the circumambulatory passage around the Garbhagraha. The roof of the Garbhagraha is so beautifully designed. You can see the beautiful walnut design of the roof there. And look at the pillars, how intricately and how beautifully are done to support the entire Garbhagraha structure. And these are the niches where you find the 12 Dwadasa Adityas. Here again, the different form of Surya is seen here. This is the third one. This is a different Surya. Like that, you have the 12 images of Surya around this Garbhagriha path. The wall moldings start with the Kumbha designs. The panels are elaborately decorated with figures of gods, but figures of Surya are placed prominently than others, since this is a temple dedicated to Surya. These are the sculptures that you see on the exterior walls. This is what you see here is a Devi image of Bhairavi. There are images of Vishnu, different forms of Shiva, and Devi in different forms. And other panels are decorated with so many other Ashtadikpalakas and so many other gods and goddesses. Here you have the image of Brahma with the 4 faces. And you have the image of Agni, the Ashtadikpalaka, representing the Ashtadikpalaka. You have the image of Saraswati, the goddess of learning. You have the image of Mahishasura. All these images, apart from Surya, are there. But Surya is given the most important prominence in this temple. This is the exterior wall of this temple. Look how intricately and how beautifully they have created it. Every small inch of that face of the exterior wall is covered with wonderful designs. Amazing work of art. You find the huge sculptures supported with dancing sculptures and other images and beautiful floral designs all over. The entire wall around the Garbhagriha is so intricately done. It is something like a jewel, a precisely, what you call made jewel. Very beautiful jewel with the precision of all the work in that. This is one of the images of Shiva. You see again the image of Devi. Again, that of Vishnu. Again here, Devi. Devi image is seen all over. You have 12 images of Shiva, Surya, and all the 12 images of Surya are seen along with Parvati, Devi image by the side. There is some reason why you have Devi also along with Surya. It's something very phenomenal and the conceptual wise also. So this particular images are beautifully executed. You see the intricacies of work that you can see on the sculpture. Be it the torso, how perfectly it has been done, or the intricate designs of the jewelry that you find around the neck, waist, and the crown. It's amazing work. Of course, most of them are mutilated, but still they speak volumes of the great architecture and the great craftsmanship that had existed during that time. Look at this image of Devi. Devi in different forms are seen along with Surya. 12 images of Surya, 12 images of Devi are also seen there. The Parvati and Shiva together. Parvati and Surya together, all over this entire temple. That was Surya. You have 12 images of Dwadasha Aditya all around us. Very beautifully played. Almost most of them are corroded because of the erosion of the climatic conditions, everything, and also mutilated. Look at that Surya with 7 horses standing on the chariot. This particular Surya images, you see that Surya standing on this chariot driven by the 7 horses, which has got a single wheel. Normally, a Purana says that Surya goes on a chariot which is driven by Aruna. The Aruna is a person who doesn't have his legs, and he drives the chariot of the Surya at a very beautiful speed. And Aruna, that entire Ratha of Surya is called as Aruna Ratha. And the 7 horses represent the 7th spectrum. But here, this temple, you find the Aruna is missing in this chariot, and Surya himself is standing on the chariot. And if you closely analyze these images of the Surya images are slightly different from the Vedic images that has been seen wearing a boot. And as we saw in Kunarak also, this temple also has the Surya image wearing boot and things like that. It is said that there was a particular community or a particular religion that had existed some parts of Iran, like the Zoroastrians and others, who were Surya worshippers. And those people were brought in from there, and they were asked to do the worship in this particular temple. And that's why you have the influence here. It's what is said, but we don't have much proof for all those things. But it's all been a speculation which is going around. But all said and done, this is slightly different from the regular images of Surya that you see here in elsewhere in the temples. This is again a Vishnu or Shiva, Vishnu seen along with this concept, and Brahma again in a different pose. And the beautiful dancers that constitute the design, the base design of this temple, all are eroded, very, very badly eroded. And of course, you have few erotic sculptures also there, and much less than what you see in Kunarak. Look at this beautiful Surya. The figures of Surya are prominently carved in the three niches of the outer windows of the Goda Mandapa. And as I said, it has got the lot of Persian influence and see here, the images of Surya. The entire wall from the bottom up to top was decorated so beautifully. It had a shikara, which no longer exists. And the Dhimana on top of that should have been a very beautiful horizontal geometrical structure with figurative brands, giving the Meru concept. So every small projection had a shikara, and all these shikaras constitute a big tower on top of the sanctum, which gives the beautiful Meru concept. And we can make out these shikaras were existing because a similar shikara is seen in the Kunda, Surikunda also. Now coming to the Sabaa Mantapa, or the dancing hall, which is in a parallelogram plan, with rows of pillars opening into the entrance on each side diagonally. And this has got extensively carved exterior as well as interior. It is something phenomenal to see the 52 beautiful carved pillars of this temple. Each pillar is different. Every pillar is so beautifully and intricately done. And the beautiful pillars support the beautiful tower on top, which once existed. The base, the band figures of dancers, you have gods. And above all that, you have the Vedi with gods and floral patterns. And you have the Makara Toranas attached to these beautiful pillars. The roof of the Sabaa Mantapa is something phenomenal. It's something like a star-shaped, stepped-up pyramid, but no longer that tower is existing. But inside of that tower is seen here in this beautiful design, which is something like a walnut. As you open the walnut, you will find the shape very similar to that. The ceiling rises with a lot of floral designs and beautiful figures of Ashtadik Palakas, or what you call the grahas. Everything is seen, the planets and things like that. Amazing work of art that you see on the roof of this Sabaa Mantapa. The entire Sabaa Mantapa is in octagon shape, supported with a lot of pillars. This is the Sabaa Mantapa, or the Toranas that you see here. Look at the 52 pillars. What intricate work that's been seen there. Amazing work of art that you could see in these pillars, and along with these Toranas. All the Toranas are very beautifully designed with makaras. Look at that Torana. So beautifully done, very intricate work. And the Sabaa Mantapa pillars, what amazing work of art. Every small inch of that is carved out so beautifully. You have a lot of gods and goddesses, dances, Puranas, everything done in this wonderful pillars of the Sabaa Mantapa. So intricately done. Look at here, you have the Apsaras. Next thing you have the dancers. Next thing you have the gods and goddesses. You have stories of Ramayana and Mahabharata depicted here. Look at that, the story of Mahabharata, where Bhima lifts an elephant and throws it out. So that shows the Parakrama of Bhima. Look at this. This is a story from incident from Ramayana, where Lakshmana falls down after the Nagastra, and all the monkeys are around him, waiting to know what happened to Lakshmana. Lakshmana is held by Rama here. So beautifully done. All the entire episodes of Ramayana and Mahabharata are seen in the pillars, wonderfully carved here. You find this Indra traveling on his Airavata. And so much of story that you could see here. The Lankini and all the Hanuma and all these people are the Vanaras going up on top of the Lankini and fighting up. The Surikunda in front of the temple is an amazing work of art. It's a rectangular tank which measures 176 feet long north-south and 120 feet east-west. It's big with stones all around, and there are 4 terraces and 4 entrances to this particular Surikunda, which leads up to the bottom of the tank. There are several miniature shrines dedicated to different gods and goddesses that you see there in the stick. Look at the beauty of the Surikunda from different angles. You have lots and lots of temples, small and big, all over the Surikunda. That's the beautiful Surikunda. The temples in the Surikunda are very beautiful, dedicated to different gods. They are built in the typical Nagara style, with lot of images of gods and goddesses all around the 3 faces of it. And the door jamb is so beautifully decorated with dancing apsaras and the image of God inside. Look at this. You have the image of Shitala Devi, what you call as Mariamman in our south. That Shitala Devi image is also seen there inside the temple. Look at the lintel of the small temple in the Surikunda. How intricately it has been done. You have the image of Ganesha and so many gods and goddesses. Right in front of this temple, the Sabaa Mantapa and the Surikunda, you have a big stamba. I do not know what was this stamba meant for and whether it was a Surya stamba or whatever. Nevertheless, it's one of the architectural wonders that you see there. The base is so beautifully done with all the lotus motifs and elephants and rows and then miniature sculptures, and then you find the gods and again the lotus motifs and things like that. It raises to the next height where you have the images of gods and goddesses very beautifully done. And above that, you have the Apsaras and other Purana stories written there. I mean, it's etched there. Amazing work, amazing piece of architecture. And of course, this entire stamba should have been a very tall structure, which is broken now and stands halfway through. Nevertheless, it's one of the greatest or beautiful architectural piece of this temple. Mudera Temple of Surya is a very interesting creation in design and the sculptural beauty. It's very painful to note that such magnificent temples have been vandalized and destroyed by invasions of the intolerant Islamic raids who came, plundered the wealth of these temples. Undoubtedly, both Kunarak and Mudera are gems of our Indian architecture. The Martian Temple of Surya, located in Anantnag in Jammu and Kashmir, dates back to 8th century, built by Laterite. This was destroyed by Mira in the 10th century. One of the biggest temples, had it existed today, this would have been one of the biggest monuments or biggest temples of Surya in this country. It is that the temple was an excellent specimen of the Kashmiri architecture, which was a combination of Gandhara, Gupta, and the Kashmiri Chinese style of architecture. May I request you to kindly mute, please? Hello, can I ask you to mute, please? May I request you to mute? The Surya Temple, located near Kumbakonam, the presiding deity is Shiva Surya Swami, with his consort Usha and Pratiksha Devi, is the only surviving Surya temple in this country today, dedicated totally to Surya. And this was built by Kulothunga Chola in 11th century. And this is the only temple that is dedicated to Surya, which is still under worship, and with all the 9 planets around him facing different sides. Surya is the Pratiksha Deva, and his worship is an integral part of our Sanatana Dharma. Wonderful temples were dedicated for his worship are now in ruins. Nevertheless, they are such great edifices that boast of our Indian great cultural heritage. Thank you. Any questions? I am prepared to take. Thank you very much for your patient listening.